Hello, thank you for watching my video. Please feel free to hit like, subscribe, and also leave me a comment in the section below. The birth of a prince in the Middle Ages was always a hugely important event, but the birth of the firstborn son of Henry Tudor, now King Henry VII after his victory at the Battle of Bosworth, and Elizabeth of York in 1486, was particularly significant. This boy was named Arthur, and his birth solidified the fledgling Tudor dynasty, which had ended the 300-plus-year-long rule of the Plantagenets after Henry had defeated Richard III at Bosworth. That battle had also effectively ended the Civil War, which had torn England apart for decades. That Civil War is known as the Wars of the Roses. There will be occasional plots and uprisings against Henry VII, but his careful and stern rule saw his authority grow. Henry's marriage to Elizabeth was a clever one, because Elizabeth was the daughter of the Yorkist king Edward IV, and so, with Henry coming from the line of the Lancastrians, he effectively had unified the two sides that had been at each other's throats for over 3 decades. And he and Elizabeth would have a host of other children, apart from Arthur, including the boy that would eventually succeed him, the future Henry VIII. And this very brief video is going to look at the circumstances that allowed the larger-than-life figure that was Henry VIII to succeed his father on the throne. As a young man, Arthur would appear to have been quite similar to his younger brother, Henry VIII, who was born 5 years after Arthur in 1491. They were both tall, handsome, and amiable as young men. But Arthur was also described as being gentle and delicate, something which Henry VIII can definitely not be described as. Arthur's childhood would have been dominated by preparations for his eventual succession, or expected succession, to the throne, and in 1501 he was sent to Wales to oversee royal matters there. That same year, Arthur made a prestigious marriage to Catherine of Aragon, the daughter of Ferdinand II of Aragon and Isabella I of Castile, the formidable couple known as the Catholic monarchs who had completed the full reconquest of Spain and ended all Muslim rule in the country. The marriage only lasted a matter of months when Arthur died in April 1502, aged only 15, but the marriage would still be a subject of controversy in English politics decades later, when Henry VIII was trying to end his own marriage to Catherine. Henry claimed that the marriage was invalid due to the fact that Catherine had been married to Henry's brother, and they had consummated the marriage. People speculate on this, but I'm not going to, as I find it a little creepy, given Arthur's and Catherine's ages at the time of their supposed physical relationship. Suffice it to say, there is no physical evidence to prove that they slept together. But either way, Henry eventually got what he wanted. Going by descriptions of Arthur's personality and of letters that still survive today that he wrote, he seems to have treated Catherine with affection and respect in the short time that they were together. But soon after their wedding had taken place, Arthur became ill, and his health rapidly declined. A number of diseases have been suggested for this, including TB, the plague, the sweating sickness, cancer, and influenza. It wasn't long before the young prince expired. Henry VII is sometimes accused of being a hard and unfeeling sort of man, but he was left devastated when the news was brought to him. He burst into tears and sent for his wife Elizabeth. Elizabeth appears initially to have borne the sad news stronger than Henry, and she comforted her husband with kind and gentle words. This gradually had a calming effect on Henry, but Elizabeth herself was simply putting on a front, and it was her turn to be comforted by Henry when the emotions overcame her. It was a sad reality of life that death was a frequent visitor to even royal households, but it's a reminder to us all that grief and raw human emotion was a very real thing even during an age of violence and civil war. Henry had seen his own fair share of death, including at the Battle of Bosworth, but the loss of his son was still like a dagger to his and Elizabeth's hearts. Arthur is another of history's great what-ifs. What would have happened had he survived his father? The only safe conclusion that we can make is that Arthur would have been a very different king to Henry VIII.